Darden, again, no action. Over to Chris Moneymaker. And he's going to raise 6,000 to Johnny Chan.
He will raise with the ace-8 suited.
Again, Johnny Chan having to make something happen. Maybe a little desperation in this former champion's eyes. Who knows? He's got a king-5 suited.
And this is a good flop for Moneymaker, because he has the top pair of aces, plus the ace flush draw. Johnny has a lower flush draw, so that's irrelevant, and he also has a straight draw with a 2. Much better cards for Chris Moneymaker right here.
And it looks like Chris Moneymaker is fully aware of that, and he's going to bet to Johnny Chan. And Johnny has to make something happen. He is going to raise back to Moneymaker.
Yeah, Chris Moneymaker, about a 2-to-1 favorite. Excuse me. He would actually be much more than the 2-to-1 favorite right now with the nut flush draw and the pair of aces against Johnny. Johnny's raise makes him take his glasses off.
55, 60,000.
Oh, Moneymaker asking Chan what he's got right there is more of an irritant. It really comes from a position of power in this player. Moneymaker, who's puffed himself up to be on the same level as the great Johnny Chan.
So Johnny Chan just on a draw here. He's thinking maybe because Chris was on the button, he was overplaying his hand, didn't have much. But as we know, Chris has the pair of aces and the ace flush draw.
Well, the rest of the players have left the table for the break, and right now we have the perfect player against the amateur of amateur, mano a mano, in this hollowed-out poker ring.
I'm all in.
Ah, so there you have it. Chris Moneymaker laying down the challenge to Johnny Chan.
And he thinks he has the best hand, and he does. And to me, this is going to be tough for Johnny to call. When you go all in, you want to have the best hand. You just don't want to be on a draw. All Johnny has right now is a draw. I'd be surprised if he goes any further.
All right, you got it.
Johnny's going to put it on the line.
All in. I need a heart, dealer.
Johnny's best chance is a deuce for a straight.
Oh, yeah, man, bad shape. All right, put a deuce up there.
No deuce.
All right, here we go. Moment of truth. The turn card, a 9 of hearts, and that's going to do it. Chris Moneymaker with the ace-high flush takes down Johnny Chan.
Wow, this is like Buster Douglas knocking out Mike Tyson. The 2-time champion goes down in a heartbeat. Sometimes even the perfect player has imperfections. He put all his chips at risk on a draw. All he had was a draw, and now he's going to have to go home.
Chris Moneymaker learned his lesson well yesterday against Johnny Chan and used it today to defeat his idol.
He outplayed me yesterday, and I thought he was going to outplay me today. I just got a lucky hand and caught him that time. But he's a phenomenal player, and he's definitely tough to beat. I came in nervous as could be, and I've loosened up. But I hope I can finish this thing off and be a real moneymaker. I don't know.
As we move away from our featured table, we look at the outer table. Looks like there's a presidential press conference over there. Something big must be happening. And we do have Chris Moneymaker in the hat on the left taking on Humberto Brenes. The flop is down 9-king-2. Brenes has ace-ace against Moneymaker's 8-8. Now we know what aces can do.
Yeah, well, these two have been trading punches all day long. And the pair of eights, Mr. Moneymaker has been walking between raindrops all day. But right now he's up against aces. That's a storm.
Moneymaker checked after the flop, and Humberto Brenes wants to get some action going, and he puts down a $30,000 bet.
Humberto, a big favorite in the hand right now.
How much does he have?
Chris thinking about it. Wants a chip count from Brenes' stack.
And he's told he has about 120,000. He's got a pair of eights, and he doesn't know Humberto has the pair of aces.
Chris Moneymaker took down Johnny Chan in an earlier session, and he is going to raise Humberto Brenes 120,000. And Humberto wants to dance.
All in trade now. Look one thing every time with me.
Yeah, they meet in the middle of the ring again, and this time Humberto Brenes with the big advantage. Aces against eights. Only an 8 is going to save Chris Moneymaker.
Well, no, what I'm saying, he might have chips now.
Doesn't matter. Stir him up, guys.
He said he called. I know, I'm in big trouble.
Oh, Chris says he's in big trouble. He knows it. Here comes a turn, and it's an 8 of clubs. The last card is no help to Brenes, and he has been eliminated.
Yeah, Johnny Chan was knocked out by Chris Moneymaker, and now another stunning knockout for Moneymaker against Humberto Brenes.
An amazing turn of events. Chris Moneymaker going against 2 aces, got the miracle 8 on the turn, and eliminates a very powerful player. How far can this young kid from Knoxville go? Chris Moneymaker is our chip leader at this point. Don't expect him to do anything huge, but he's looking at ace-queen, so he's going to make some sort of move. He bet 60,000 on the ace-queen. Action over to Phil Ivey now, and looking at a couple of 9s.
Phil Ivey always loves pocket pairs.
He'll call it. Next in line is Jason Lester. Ivey with the lead with the 2 9s. Well, Lester with a couple of 10s. And at least before the flop, you figure he's going to stick around, and he indeed does call that.
Now we have 3 players in the spot.
Nobody else wants any action, and so we're going to get the flop now. Moneymaker, Ivey, and Lester in the hand. The flop comes 2 queens.
A monster flop for Chris Moneymaker, who makes 3 queens and becomes a prohibitive favorite.
Jason Lester checks, so the action to Moneymaker, you have to figure he's going to push things right now. And he does with 70,000.
I thought he might have pushed it more. Generally, you make a bigger bet there and you push out the competition. We always like to say better to win a small pot than lose a large pot. He's almost inviting calls right there with the 70,000. A big favorite in the hand.
Well, Phil Ivey is indeed going to take that bait, and he'll call it.
Yeah, Phil Ivey will call, and I guess for the 70,000 he'll call. He is well behind in the hand, doesn't know it. Jason Lester actually has a better hand than Phil Ivey right now. He decides he's going to stay out of harm's way. He doesn't want to get any trouble at this point. The next person knocked out doesn't make the final table. So Jason Lester.
Here comes the turn, and it's a 9, and that gives Phil Ivey a full house.
Miracle on 4th Street for Phil Ivey, who now has the full house and the better hand.
But nobody knows it here except Phil Ivey.
And there's no reason for Moneymaker to assume that Ivey had the pocket 9s. So he's going to bet 200,000. Understandably, he just can't think he has that type of hand to beat him. He's got to believe the 3 queens are best right now. And Phil Ivey deciding what he's going to do, he's obviously going to play. And if and when he wins this sizable pot, Phil Ivey will put himself in terrific chip position for the final day.
He is all in.
All in.
And quickly called.
Chris calls.
The pot size is 1 million now.
9's full for Phil Ivey.
Moneymaker is disgusted. He never could have assumed the 2 9s in the hole for Phil Ivey. And now he is going to need an ace, a queen, or a 6 on the river to win the hand, which would knock out Phil Ivey.
Moneymaker's looking for an ace on the river. Or another queen. Here we go. We're going to see one more card. It's an ace!
An incredible knockout blow for probably the best player left in the tournament, who's gone down.
Oh, amazing. Phil Ivey loses with a full house to a better full house of Chris Moneymaker,
who has now knocked out heavyweights Johnny Chan, Humberto Brenes, and Phil Ivey. My goodness.
Who is this young man? The remaining players thrilled to be at the final table, but also happy and relieved that the great Phil Ivey will be absent. Approaching 1:30 in the morning. Final table has taken 11 hours or so to this point.
Don't do it.
Chris Moneymaker's going to do it anyway. Reaches for 100,000 chips with a king 7. Sammy Farha with a queen 9. We'll call that bet.
When it's heads up, odd things happen.
Flop comes 9-2-6. Farha has made a pair of 9s. Chris Moneymaker has nothing and checks. Checks for Farha as well. The turn is an 8.
And now they both have a spade draw.
300,000 from Sammy Farha.
who has the pair of nines, and Moneymaker also has a straight draw and will raise.
There's a 300.
Raising.
No, I raise.
Very adamant about his raise.
Indeed. Still stacking chips. It's a big raise.
5 more.
500,000 is the raise.
It's quite a play. It's sort of a semi-bluff. He still could get there on a straight draw or flush draw, but he has nothing right now, and Sam comes right on in.
We're going to see the river card.
You said it's going to be over soon.
It may well be. And is a 3 of hearts.
Moneymaker doesn't get to either draw, and the pair of nines is best.
I'm all in.
Chris is all in.
Chris Moneymaker going all in with nothing.
A stunning play from Moneymaker, who missed his draws, has nothing, and now has put Sam Farha all in. He would have to put all his chips in, and if he lost this pot, he would be out of the tournament. Moneymaker bluffed at this once, and Farha came. He's now bluffing at it again.
You must have missed your flush, huh?
Sam's absolutely right.
This would be a tough, tough call for Sammy.
Is Chris bluffing this time?
No.
He ain't bluffed all night.
No.
It's quite a predicament for Sammy. He has a pair of nines. It's the best hand, but he can't know that. And if he calls this bet and loses, we're playing for the World Championship. If he's wrong, he's out of it. He's the runner-up. So it's really tough just to sit here and call with a pair of nines, particularly when Moneymaker has made 2 big bets in a row.
I'll make a crazy call on you. Could be the best hand.
Sam Farha trying to draw something out of Chris Moneymaker, but he's like a statue, afraid to make any sort of move.
Sam, you want to save yourself, you won't call.
Don't do it.
Don't do it, Sam.
Don't do it.
He is not going to do it. Chris Moneymaker bluffs Sam Farha out of a big stack of money.
And considering this situation, I know we're early in the century, but that's the bluff of the century. What a play from Chris Moneymaker.
Back to Binion's Horseshoe Casino, continuing this heads-up battle for the World Championship of Texas Hold'em Poker. Chris Moneymaker with a commanding chip lead right now on Sam Farha. We know how quickly that can change, though. Chris Moneymaker's cards 5 and 4.
In fact, if Sammy can double up, he would take the chip lead, and that's how it is when you're heads up.
Sam Farha looks at a Jack-10 and bets 100,000 to Moneymaker, who quickly calls it.
And Sammy a 2-to-1 favorite right now going into the flop.
And here it comes. It is Jack 5-4, 2 pair for Chris Moneymaker, 1 for Sam Farha.
Your top pair for Sam Farha, but once again, Chris Moneymaker has gotten another fortunate flop.
Chris Moneymaker checks now over to Sam Farha, who throws in a bet of 175,000. He's reaching.
I'm gonna raise.
The raise is 300,000 now. Back to Farha.
Okay, I'll go all in. Let's go. Let's do number
I'll
2.
call.
Sam Farha goes all in, and Chris Moneymaker's going to call it.
3 pairs for Chris Moneymaker versus 1 pair for Sam Farha.
And Sam sees the grim news, and with 2 pair, Chris Moneymaker, a statistical improbability to win this title at the outset, is now closing in on making it an incredible reality.
Turn card is an 8 of diamonds.
No help yet, and Farha to stay alive would need a jack, a 10, or an 8, or this is over.
One card away from a new World Series, Chris Moneymaker.
This could be the last card of the 2003 World Series of Poker.
It's a 5.
With a full house, Chris Moneymaker eliminates Sam Farha, and the 27-year-old has stepped out of the virtual poker room and in a very swift and unlikely manner is atop the poker world.
This is beyond fairy tale. It's inconceivable.
Well played.
I missed the flush and I missed the straight draw on that one. I had that king high.
Made one bad mistake. Good job. Good job. Very good. Good job.
Sam Farha.
Congratulations.